To this, his brother made the fitting answer, and both went out by a secret door of the palace. They travelled night and day until they came to a tree in the middle of a lonely meadow near the salt sea. In this meadow there was an islet of fresh water at which they drank and afterwards sat down to rest. An hour had hardly passed when the sea began to be troubled, and suddenly a column of black smoke came up out of it, which rose to the sky and moved towards the meadow. Seeing this, they became afraid and climbed as high as they were able into the tall tree, and began to consider what this might mean. Then, behold, the smoke column changed to a genie of great size, vast-shouldered, gigantically breasted, and carrying on his head a box. He put foot to the earth, came towards the tree in which they were, and stopped below it. Then he lifted the lid of the box, and took from it a large coffer, which he also opened, and thereupon appeared a desirable young girl, bright in her beauty, shining like the sun, as the poet says. She comes, a torch in the shadows, and it is day. Her light more brightly lights the dawn. Sun slip from out her beauty, and moons are born in the smiling of her eyes. Ah, that the veils of her mystery might be rent, and the folk of the world lie ravished at her feet, forced by the great light of her sweet glancing, wet tears smart forth from every watching eye. When the genie had looked long at the beauty of the girl, he said to her, "O queen of every silky thing, O you whom I ravished away upon your bridal night, I would sleep a little." And the genie, resting his head upon the knees of the young girl, went to sleep. Then the child raised her head and saw the two kings hidden in the treetop. At once she lifted the head of the genie from her knees, rested it upon the ground, and stood up beneath the tree, saying to them by signs, "Come down, have no fear of this Ifrit." They also answered by signs, "Allah be with you. Pray excuse us from such a dangerous undertaking." She said, "I conjure you by Allah, come down quickly, or I will warn the Ifrit, and he shall kill you with the worst of deaths." Then they were afraid, and came down beside her, and she said at once, "Come, pierce me violently with your lances. If not, I will wake the Ifrit." Then Shahryar said fearfully to Shahzaman, "You, my brother, do first what she requires." To which the other answered, "I will do nothing until you have given me an example, my elder brother." And each began to coax the other, making with their eyes gestures of coupling. Then she said, "Why do I see you working with your eyes in this way? If you do not come forward and do it to me at once, I will wake the Ifrit." So, in their fear of the genie, they both did to her as she commanded, and when they were well wearied, she said, "You are indeed experienced riders." Then, drawing from her pocket a little bag, she took from it a necklace of 570 seal rings, saying, "Know you what these are?" And they answered, "We do not know." Then she said, "The givers of the seal rings have all coupled with me on the unwitting horns of this Ifrit. So now, O brothers, give me yours." Then they gave her their seal rings, taking them off their hands, whereon she said, "Know that this Ifrit carried me off on the night of my marriage, prisoned me in a coffer, and placed that coffer in a box, and fastened about the box 7 chains. Yes, and then laid me at the bottom of the moaning sea that wars and dashes with its waves." But he did not know that whenever any one of us women desires a thing, nothing can prevent her from it. And the poet said, besides, "Friend, trust not at all in women, smile at their promising. For the lower or the love at the caprice of their parts, filled to the mouth with deceit, they lavish a lying love. Even while the very floss fringing their skills is faithless. Respect and remember the words of Yusuf. Forget not, Iblis worked all Adam's woe with one woman. Rail not, my friend, at this house at whom you're railing. Mild love tomorrow will give place to madness. Say not, if I love, I'll escape the follies of loving, but rather, only a miracle brings a man safe from among them." At these words the brothers marveled even to the limits of marveling, and said to each other, "If this be a genie, and in spite of his power, much more terrible things have happened to him than to us. It is an adventure which ought to console us." So at that same hour they left the young woman and returned, each to his own city. When King Shahryar entered his palace, he caused his wife's head to be cut off at the neck. And in the same way, the heads of the slaves, both men and women. Then he ordered his vizier to bring him every night a young and virgin girl, whom he ravished and, when the night had passed, caused to be slain. This he did for 3 long years, so that the people were all in one cry of grief, one tumult of horror. They fled away with such daughters as remained to them, and in all the city there remained not one girl who retained the state to serve for this assault. At last the king, as was his custom, ordered the vizier to bring him a young girl, and the vizier went forth and hunted, but found no girl at all. So he returned to his own home dejected and wretched, and with his soul full of his fear of the king. Now this vizier had himself 2 daughters, who in the matters of beauty, charm, brilliance, perfection, and delicate taste were each rivaled save by the other. The name of the elder was Shahrazad, and that of the younger Dunyazad. Shahrazad had read the books, the annals, and the legends of old kings together with the histories of past peoples. Also she was credited with possessing 1,000 books of stories telling of the peoples, the kings, and the poets of bygone ages, and of past time. She was sweetly eloquent of speech, and to listen to her was music. When she had looked at her father, she said, "Why do I see you so bowed and changed with care and sorrow?" "Know, my father, that the poet says, 'Thou who art sad, oh, to be comforted, for nothing endures, and as every joy vanishes away, so also vanishes every sorrow.'" When the vizier heard these words, he told his daughter from the beginning to end all that had happened concerning the king. Then Shahrazad said, "By Allah, father, you must marry me to this king, for either I shall live or, dying, I shall be a ransom for the daughters of the Mussulmans and the cause of their deliverance out of the hands of the king." Then said he, "Allah be with you. You shall never expose yourself to such a danger." And she answered, "It is necessary that I do this." So he said to her, "Take care that the fate of the ass with the bull and the husbandman befall not you also." Listen.